ocean's clearly plagued with problems, right?
Yeah.
Are we done? Like, have we gone too far here? And now it's going to be like future generations are going to miss out on whales and biodiversity.
There will definitely be a significant loss in biodiversity. There already has been, and at the rate that things are going, a further loss is unavoidable. One good thing is that the ocean system seems to be fairly adaptable. So the life in the ecosystems will always find a way somehow to rebalance themselves and come to a new equilibrium, but it won't be the same, and it won't be as biodiverse. It'll be very much a compromise. And one of the biggest things that threatens this and is already having a huge impact on the biodiversity of the ocean, and in particular the deep sea, is climate change, but not in the sense that the media tends to talk about it as just melting ice caps and polar bears losing their habitat. One of the biggest issues with climate change is that the warming surface ocean enhances something called stratification, which is essentially the layering of the ocean. If you have a warmer surface water, you get less mixing with the deep waters underneath, and less mixing means that less of the organic material, so say dead plants and animals and algae and their poo, which contains carbon that the plankton have taken out of the atmosphere at the ocean surface, less of that material is getting mixed with deep water, sinking to the bottom, where it forms layers on the seafloor and eventually gets turned into carbonate rock. That isn't happening at the same rate because of the warming leading to the stratification. And if that keeps going at the rate that it's going, you're basically going to starve the deep sea. You're going to get a feedback effect that continues to make the problem worse, less and less carbon being absorbed into the ocean. And in the deep sea, you get a spread of anoxic zones, so zones without oxygen, and that just kills off everything living there. So it's just, there is a point where climate change will cause irreversible damage to this entire system, and we are nearing it, and it is quite terrifying.
All right, so let's walk through, like, what are the top 5 biggest threats to the deep sea or to the ocean right now?
Definitely, so climate change in the sense that the warming ocean. Also, if you get more of the poles melting, you get, it's hard to get my head around because the chemistry of it has never been my strong point. But you might have to cut some of my pauses out here.
It's okay. No, your pauses are...
Okay, yeah. Cold water holds more dissolved oxygen than warm water, because when the water's warmer, the particles are moving around faster and the oxygen molecules can escape more easily. So in the poles, you have these incredibly complex communities on the sea floor of giant organisms exhibiting polar gigantism, which is similar to abyssal gigantism or deep sea gigantism, because they don't have the same oxygen-based constraints on body size. There's so much oxygen in the water that it's not a limitation. So if you get warming poles, which we are at a faster rate than anywhere else on the planet, that constraint becomes very real for these animals that have already adapted their morphology to a place where oxygen isn't a limitation. So these polar giants are very much under threat from climate change at the poles.